So in this video, we will have a closer look at the Garmin Fenix 7X, which just came out a few days ago. But first off, I do have to apologize for my environment. I am not in my usual home/studio environment. I have some ongoing constructions at home, so right now I'm located at a different location, so that's why the audio and video quality is maybe not up to par with my usual standards, so I do apologize for that. But anyways, this video I'll just do an unboxing and first look, first impressions video of the Fenix 7X. When I get home in a few days to my normal environments, I will get a more in-depth video. So this is the part 1 of the video, and of course I will do a part 2 video a little later where I will test some other things like charging speeds and compare this to the Tactics Delta Solar editions that I also have, which is also a solar Sapphire watch, and also see what kind of weight we can actually get with this with other watch bands like the one I have here from Widget. But anyways, I've been kind of excited to try out the Fenix 7 series. It's been rumored for quite some time. I believe at least 1.5 years or something like that. I heard the first rumors about a Fenix 7, so it's been long overdue. I am maybe not disappointed, but a little less overwhelmed by the actual feature set of the new Fenix 7 series and Epics as well, which is of course this AMOLED version of the Fenix 7 series of watches. I was just expecting a little bit more, so still don't have any kind of phone calls on the watch. No LTE this time around, kind of strange. They didn't include an LTE when they have that in the 945 LTE that I have been wearing here. Various other things like no ECG for instance, and still only just rubber silicone straps. I think Garmin could do a lot more with those bands for their watches. Come up with some more variants of a sports band for the 26 and the 22 millimeters as well, and so on and so on. But anyways, kind of excited by the touchscreen and actually by the little flashlight that is built into the 7X models. The box, nothing really exciting here. This is of course the Sapphire Solar version, so this is the highest end model of this watch here, and it does have the Sapphire screen, of course, hence the name, and solar as well. But that's not the only difference between this and the lower end Fenix 7 series of watches. It also has 32 gigabytes of memory. You only get 16 on the entry level Fenix 7 series, and it also has multi-band GPS, which is not really something I really need, but it's definitely a nice thing to have. And then of course we have a lot better solar panels in this one here, so I believe it's up to 3 times better in terms of actually harvesting the solar energy and making it into actual energy or charging the battery of this watch here. So you can also see a big, rather big solar panel there compared to the Fenix 6 series of watches. And that's also one thing I want to compare actually and see how much better it actually is at harvesting light into energy. And I got the black one here. You can also get this in a gray version, carbon gray I believe it's called, but I really want the black one. The black one seems to be the hard one to find. I found this here locally in stock and also with fast shipping, and I had a 5% discount, so I got it a little cheaper. This is a very expensive watch. I also have the Epics coming tomorrow, and I will also do a video of that very soon in next week at some point. But anyways, same gray square box that we have seen so many times or so long time with Garmin watches. And this is of course brand new, sealed. So let's just cut that and have a closer look at what we actually get. I think Garmin could do a little bit better with actually unboxing. We have seen this box design for several years now. And of course, surprise, surprise, we have the watch in here. Of course, slimmer bezels compared to the 6 series and Tactics series as well. And the screws is not around the bezels anymore. It's in the little studs there that actually holding the watch band in place. I kind of like this little cleaner design here. Definitely don't mind. And also slimmer bezels is always a nice thing. But it does have exactly the same size screen as last year and probably the exactly same screen. So you haven't the screen hasn't gotten bigger, but the sun area or the solar cells to harvest the sun has gotten quite a bit bigger compared to previous generations. And let's just get into this. Of course, first off, we have the watch here. We have a smaller box inside the box. And let's see what we get here. surprise, surprise, a charging cable. And this is the proprietary Garmin charging cable we've seen for many years now. I like this. It works. It is very compact to take with you when you're traveling, and I have multiple of these cables just everywhere at home and in my bags and so on, and I can use them throughout all of my Garmin watches. So definitely a thumbs up there. And you also get quick start instructions like always, but of course if you want the full instructions you can go and download it from the website, and Garmin also has a lot of nice guides on their own website so to get you up and running. But this will definitely get you up and going right off the bat, and some safety and product information which nobody will ever read. And of course the main character here, the watch itself, and I just peeled off the protective cover there, so that pretty much came off when I removed the watch. Let's just put it on the back here. And right at the back, it's definitely a heavy watch. You know, I've been wearing the 945 LTE for a few weeks now as my primary watch because I'm not at home like I said, and I want to go out and running. This is definitely, it's a heavy watch. It is actually lighter than my Tactics Delta by 8 grams, because if you get the Sapphire version, you also get the titanium bezel and also backside here, which is definitely a nice upgrade. And this time around, our plan was actually to go for the titanium version, and I like Sapphire as well, so it's kind of a win-win. And get it out of this packaging here. Right out of the bat, definitely looks very nice. I really like this newer design here, or rather updated design. The bezel looks pretty similar to the previous generations, but of course, like I said, you do have that solar panel there, which is quite a bit thicker. And you also get a little notch down here with the Garmin logo, and of course numbers all the way around. And you also, a new upgraded feature here, or design feature, is that you have some guards there protecting the stop button. Pretty much the same holes, or placement at least of the holes here on the side for the ABC or altimeter and barometer. Back button there. I don't like these slippery buttons. That's definitely something I really like about my Tactics Delta, those knurling buttons. But we still have slippery buttons here on the Fenix watch. A little unfortunate in my opinion. But man, definitely feels very good. Feels like high quality, which is always the case with the watches, I think. And silicone strap, again, I'm not a big fan of silicone straps by any stretch of the imagination. No point attended. I definitely like those sports band better when I'm actually doing sport, of course. Very light bands, very comfortable, very breathable and elastical as well as on the silicone bands. And it don't give me a rash, which I always get on the silicone bands when I'm wearing the watch 24/7. Like I said, I wish Garmin really would come out with some new watch bands, not just silicone straps. It's fine enough to just include those, but just some newer bands you can buy a third party, something different than just silicone bands and the ultra fit band. But of course, screws up here instead of all the way around the bezels, like I said, but also add a little bit of protection up here. I have actually bumped in or marked some of my watches. My Fenix 3 and 6 had some marks there, so it's definitely an exposed area, so it's nice to have a little extra metal protection there. And then the main character of the show, we do get the flashlight here on the other end. I know some people might be calling this a kind of a gimmick, or see this as a gimmick, but I definitely look forward to having a flashlight on me at all times. This is just a fantastic thing. I often use my phone as a flashlight. Not really ideal, because you have to hold your phone and do whatever you do with the other hand. You can't really just point the phone and still kind of have the one hand available to hold some screws or anything like that, or something like that, and still provide some decent amount of lighting. So very usable. So of course white and red light as well, if you use night goggles and stuff, or don't want to ruin your night vision. And one nice big upgrade, I believe, to the Fenix series and 7 series is actually not only the Elevate 4 heart rate sensor, which is of course a kind of big upgrade compared to the Elevate 3 heart rate sensor of the Fenix 6 series, but also the fact that it's much better for pulse ox readings. That's just a fantastic thing. It's so much faster and much more reliable, so it's actually usable with the 4th generation sensor. Didn't really use it that much with the 3rd generation because I often got a read error, and it took a long time actually to get those reading. Same plug there for the cable, of course, for charging and data, and you have all of the yeah, writing here on the bottom, Sapphire solar model, of course, 100 meters waterproofing and waterproof down to 100 meters, power Sapphire lens, and of course titanium. And the Elevate 4 heart rate sensor here is actually also significantly improved compared to other watches like my 945 LTE. I do apologize for not being clean, but you can see even though it's pretty much the same sensor underneath, on the Fenix 7 series you have metal band around, or it's actually protected in metal, and the actual lens itself is made of glass, whereas on Fenix 6 and previous models, and also the first two models to come out with Elevate 4 heart rate sensor, the Venue 2 and the 945 LTE, you still just have that plastic blob there in the middle, and you can see there's all kind of gunk just getting stuck in there, and it's kind of hard to clean actually. You know, you don't have that problem with this one here because it's not recessed into the watch. It is a part of the frame or the backside of the watch there, so much easier to clean and much better protected. When you put your watch down with the sensor on the table, you shouldn't be as careful or as worried to scratch this sensor here compared to the plastic one. And I've also heard some people having issues with cracked sensors, at least with the Elevate 3 heart rate sensor. Not an issue I've ever had myself, but I'm always very careful when I actually put my watch down. I lay it with the screen down most of the time, just like so, or on a soft surface if I put it the other way down, just to so I don't scratch up the sensor here, so it will malfunction at some point. So yeah, pretty big upgrade, metal and glass, 4 screws there on the bottom as well, and buttons. Yeah, definitely feels nice enough. Not super tactical first impression, but definitely better than my 945 LTE. It still has a little bit mushy buttons, not the best, but definitely I think the buttons are fine. The only thing I really miss is that knurling on my Tactics Delta. That's just so nice, especially if you're wearing gloves, like if you're wearing nylon gloves or something like that, very slippery gloves, running gloves, it can be very easy to actually slip off those buttons, especially here on the 945 LTE. Definitely happened to me a few times. And I think I will have the same issue with the Fenix 7X here. Still have the same quick release system. Of course, just quick release it by pulling the little tab there and remove the bands. Really like that. I'm gonna use a sports band. This one here, I have several of these Yo-side nylon bands and I highly recommend them. Link down in the description below. You can get them in 22 here and also 26 millimeters in green and or in black. And I've made a video about those as well. And I plan to use the same band on this one, or I might just throw my UltraFit band on this. I'm not really sure yet, but you do have a slight, of course, design difference here compared to the Fenix 6 series. Just kind of smooth rubber, but those bands doesn't look bad at all. And you always get a little bit differently designed band with all new watches coming out from Garmin. And these silicone bands are very high quality. Definitely have no problem with the overall quality of the bands. Like I said, they just do give me a rash, which you can see here. Actually, the sports band is at least marking my arms a little bit because I have it very tight on my arm to get the best pulse reading. These are just so non-breathable on my wrist. So yeah, I can't wear this every day. I'm gonna switch this out pretty fast, or that's the first thing I'm gonna switch out when I get home to my home/office/studio. But let's actually turn on this watch and just go through the setup process. I get a little Fenix 7 pop-up screen there. I also have the Epics coming to me tomorrow. So like I said, I will do a video of that as well with this OLED screen. It is a little bit smaller than this. It is based on the Fenix 7 sizing, but that OLED screen just looks so freaking nice. So you lose a little bit of features in my opinion, because this is an always on screen with no real downside. It's just on. The OLED screen, you can leave it on always, but it will also go into like kind of a sleep mode, so not as bright and hard to read outdoors if you're just peeking at the watch, or you have to do the flip to wrist to wake the screen to get the best battery life. And yeah, it's not really ideal, and you can have some kind of burn-in also as well if you have it on all the time. So not the best solution, but definitely looks very nice, and I look forward to actually testing that watch out as well. But anyways, you can see here we get a little welcome screen. It says ready in many different languages, and a little arrow there, or a little check mark there. And let's just set it up with English language. I really like these screens. even though it's not as vibrant and colorful as many other devices, or OLED devices rather. I really find them useful, these transflective screens, in day-to-day life when you're not like pixel peeping or looking at the colors of the screen, which definitely do pop on the AMOLED versions. But this is just, in my opinion, a little more useful, both in terms of battery life, but also, like I said, it's always on with no compromise. So let's get in here and add another device. And it's asking me if I want to pair with the phone. Let me just do that. It usually just pops up. Yeah, and you can see here, yeah, took a few seconds. Type in the password. And of course, you do need Garmin Connect installed on your phone. This is an iPhone 13 Pro Max. And you also need a Garmin account as well, logged in the Garmin Connect here. I have it all set up because I use Garmin devices, so it's just a matter of pairing it up. Shouldn't take all that long. And allow notifications. I'm gonna replace my current watch. So this will be my primary watch, and I will use this for all my activities going forward, just to test it out. Not really sure if I'm actually gonna keep my 945 LTE or return it. I really like the small form factor and the lightness of the whole device. It just weighs next to nothing. I don't really notice it on my wrist, but the screen is a little bit small, and I feel like still optical heart rate sensors, it's not really working all that reliable all the time, especially when I'm doing splits. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted this smaller device here. And you can see I got a notification here from Garmin, an email telling me I have registered my device or the watch. And a few questions here. Not really sure why it starts here in English measurements, because it does have all of my information already tied to the Garmin account. Why do they want me to tie it in tell it again or set it up again? I'm not really sure, but it does that every time I pair a new device with my phone here. And what is my weight? It's at 98 right now. Let's just put 98. I believe that's, let's put 100 kilo. I'm right around there. And I like to keep my notifications off after 11. And as well, I don't really like having notifications on my wrist until after noon here. So I set it between 11 and 11, so 12 hours I don't get any notifications. I just check my phone regularly. And let's just sync it up to the phone here. And one great thing that we finally see on Garmin devices here is the ability to actually set up pretty much all settings on the phone interface, rather than you have to go dig into the menu to set up like data fields for running or any kind of your activity. You have to set it up individually on the watch itself. Now you can actually do that on the phone. That is something I've been wanting for quite some time. I believe Suunto already did it many years ago with the Mbit 3. I believe I had the Suunto platform. What it was, the moves count, where you can go set it up there. And Garmin finally stepped in and actually did that as well, which is excellent. I have been wanting that feature for quite some time now. I have not done any activities right now. I actually took a fall the other day when I was running, so I have a severe pain in the left or the right side of my chest. So any kind of running right now is not really ideal. I'll probably go out and try and run again in a few days. But yeah, kind of an injury there. Let's get into settings of this watch here. First off, you can finish off some of the recommended settings. Within Garmin Connect, of course, set up Garmin Pay, which is exclusively what I personally use. You can, of course, set up music if you want to have music on the device. That is still one area where I feel like Garmin can do a little bit better. We're only getting, I believe it's 16 hours with GPS and music. I believe it was around the same with the 7X, or 6X. Correct me if I'm wrong. So still, we're not getting an improvement in battery life when I'm actually listening to music over Bluetooth. So I guess Bluetooth must drain a lot of battery also in these new watches here. And of course, you can set up Wi-Fi and set up live track. Let's just go back here. A new feature also in these watches here on the Fenix 7 watch is that you can actually see the actual logs reading. So you get a number, not just like a graph here, but you can actually see how much light you're actually achieving, which is kind of nice. In logs, of course, measurements. It's winter here in my country right now. I live in Scandinavia, so we don't get that much sunlight, if any at all. And that's definitely an area where I cannot really do any kind of severe testing right now, but it should be significantly better, and I look forward to try that in the summertime. Of course, Garmin Pay, you have apps, activities and apps, and you can of course set them up here, all of your activities, and let's just go in and see if we can actually do any kind of specific setup to a specific activity. For instance, let's go into run here. I can install it. Let's do that. And let's see if we can actually go in and set data screens and data fields up here. Not there. So yeah, you need to go into edit settings here for the specific exercise. A little weird, but anyways, finally you can go in here and set up anything you really would like. So touch, you can set that to on and off. It is by default off in all activities, so only really work in the watch UI itself. I don't really mind touch all that much in the UI itself, but when I'm in an activity, I definitely prefer the buttons, and I prefer the buttons primarily on a watch like this, but it's definitely nice to have touch for setting timers or typing in password for Garmin Pay. But yeah, you can set up pretty much anything, but where can I set up the data fields? Can't really seem to find that there, but it's nice to finally be able to set up everything on the phone itself. And I'll do some more testing, like in part 2 of this video when I get home to my more comfortable environments. I can barely see what's happening on the screen because yeah, my setup is not really ideal and I'm looking through a smartphone right now. Of course, notifications and stuff like that, same as before. Kind of curious as to test the vibration alerts. If we can actually feel the vibration a little bit better when I'm out running. Can be a little weak at sometimes when with the older model. And of course, you can set up watch faces and set up your widgets here, your control functions, sensors and accessories here. And you can have all the, of course, sensors you're paired up to the device as well. Of course, you have full mapping on this one and comes with all the maps pre-installed with the 32GB variant, so the Sapphire variant. Smaller variants, you need to install them yourself. It only comes with the regional maps on there. But you can also set all the maps functions up in here, which is kind of nice. So all these are new, like sensor hub and maps, and yeah, still have music there. The connection possibilities, of course, you have your phone here. Wi-Fi as well, if you want to set it up to Wi-Fi sync sound messages. User profile, safety and tracking. And you can actually set up your registering of an incident. So if you fall or anything like that, you will notify your contact. But still no LTE aboard here, which is again, like I said, a little strange when they just released the 945 LTE. I thought that would be kind of become a standard in the future, but apparently not. Activity log here. And of course, I've set this to be my primary device for tracking my activity. Navigations. You have power control here, so you can set up your power settings as well within the app. Quite nice as well. And system. So you get into all of the system settings here. It's kind of weird to see them laid out like this because I've been swiping between those settings inside the watch for so many times or so many years now. And I'll just have it all in one place here, which is just so much easier. But I guess I have to sync it up to actually be able to see in details here. And you can also find your unit and help and information. So that's just the phone app. Let's get into the watch itself here. So first off, the Sapphire screen. It seems to be more transparent than my Tactics Delta. And from what I can understand, this time around it only has a 7% solar panels on the watch face itself, or in the on top of the entire screen, whereas the Tactics Delta had like a 10% coverage of solar panels there, so it is a little less dense, and maybe that's why it looks a little better. Also because I have a bright light shining down towards the flashlight there, or the screen of the watch. So yeah, a bit more transparent than my Tactics Delta, which also have the solar and the Sapphire screen. But of course, touch in the UI itself is set up by default to, of course, be on. I believe you can just go in here in the widget settings there and just turn it off if you do not like it. I'm going to try it out first before I disable it, but like I said, for the menu system itself, I find it quite useful. Of course, with the flashlight, double tap the light button And you have the flashlight turning on immediately, and that's actually quite a powerful little flashlight. Fine enough to just, find the light switch when you walk around at home, or plugging in some cables on your pick up your computer. You also have a little flashlight widget there where you go in and set the intensity. So of course you can dial it down a little bit. You don't need all the brightness. You will not burn through the battery as fast. It is set to the third one as default, and you also have the red LED as well. Again, if you don't want to lose your night vision, that could be quite nice to have. Let's just go back to the default here. 3 notches up. And also a nice thing that, let's disable the flashlight. A nice thing is actually all the widgets you have here on the watch face. You can just long press if you want to go into that specific widget here. Again, a nice feature. I like the fact that you have to long press, not just tap it, because then you accidentally just tap it, or if you have your sleeve over your watch, you can accidentally tap these widgets there. So it does take a little more effort to actually get into the widget, but it is definitely nice that you have that fast way of getting in there. And we have all the standard widgets here set up. So weather, sunrise, sundown, ABC widget, performance widget, training status, last activity, steps, heart rate, measuring. Okay, also there's my battery, I believe. Sleep data. I have not synced this watch up with my phone yet, so there's not really that much on here. Of course, you have notifications as well, and music controls. Plus, of course, you can add a lot of other widgets as well. So you have pretty much, I believe, the exact same widget set as on the 6 series. Correct me if I'm wrong, if there is any new widgets. I haven't really noticed, but it also has the exact same screen and same resolution, so I guess you will get pretty much the same results on this one here compared to the Fenix 6. And the Fenix 6 you can get heavily discounted right now, so that's also an option. And I'm not 100% sure I'm actually going to keep this watch. I'm just curious. Like I said, I'm not 100% sold on it. It's a very expensive watch. I like the flashlight, but that's a freaking expensive flashlight if that's the only reason. And I would definitely like the GPS to be more accurate and also acquire a GPS lock down much faster than previous generations. That's like one of the major issues I had. And also like the better battery life here. Maybe I can charge this once a month with like an hour activity every day, GPS activity every day. That would be just awesome. And let's just have a look at the watch faces we actually get default here. So let's go back to this top here. This one is the new one, I believe. And actually like the new ones, they look quite nice. And also this one, I forgot the touchscreen there. This one also, of course, looks pretty decent. And you also get this one with VO2 Max. I believe this was the standard one. And of course you can edit all of these features if you kind of want to set it up your way. And then we have some more basic Garmin watch faces. And we've seen those pretty much all the Garmin watches throughout the years. But there's a few new ones here, and I kind of like them. I'm just going to leave it at the default one. That will give me everything I pretty much need. I get my VO2 Max here. I'm not sure what this status is for, but maybe it's for my step counter. When the sunrise, heart rate, altimeter, steps, date, and my weather. That's kind of pretty much how I actually like it set up. I maybe would like to see some kind of sun widget on there as well, so I can track that in the summertime. But yeah, definitely pretty nice out of the get-go. Let's hit the start button there, go into the screen here where you actually find all the activities, and get another tip. And the run there, I just added that. I can touch. Kind of have to get used to that, but I added that in the app before, so it's not default there, but you can also see it says touch is disabled, which is kind of nice. But when you go into an activity here, you can of course go in to, is it the run settings here, and go down to GPS. So now we have multi-GNS set up as default, but you can also of course run the multi-band, but then you will lose quite a lot of battery life. So yeah, you get close to half the battery life. Of course, running multi-band is kind of equal to running 2 GPS devices at the same time. So I'll just keep it on multi-GNS I believe this is the best setting because it will just use all of the networks or the global positioning system networks out there. So GLONASS, GPS, and Galileo. But this is also one of the features I was kind of curious to try out. Flashlight strobe. And yeah, touch is not enabled in here. But when you're running, you can actually have this flash there, strobe, according to your cadence, I believe, but also just random. So you can set it cadence or just blitz, beacon, pulse, blink. So for instance, here in my country, it is winter time right now and it gets very dark very fast. So you only have a few hours of actually light. And when I'm running at night, it could be nice actually to have that little light there just flash and notify people that I am out running, because it is very dark, and even though I have some kind of reflectors on and something like that, it could be nice to have a little bit extra, and from time to time to just have a little bit of light, maybe not specifically when I'm running, but just out and about and needed a little bit of light and don't have to grab from my phone there. But I'm kind of curious to try out this setting here for when I'm out and running. Only real downside is this is a heavy watch. And one of the reasons why I wanted the 945 LTE was to get a lighter watch, which I've been really enjoying. Going back to this heavy watch here, even though it is 8 grams lighter than my Tactics Delta, I had to try that out. But one of the reasons why I also wanted the lighter watch was to get more accurate heart rate reading with the Elevate 4 heart rate sensor, which is doing quite a good job, but it's not perfect. So probably end up going for a chest strap in the future. So one of the reasons why I bought this light one here, the lighter watch for running, kind of didn't work out the way I wanted to, so not 100% sure I'm going to keep it. Maybe I can lift the weight here if I'm wearing a chest strap and don't really have to count for the heart rate sensor on the bottom of the watch on my wrist, but I'm definitely going to try. And yeah, I really like that bigger screen. I really miss that when I'm on the smaller watch here. Can be a little small at times or a little hard to see at times. But of course you have the run settings here, and this is just the default ones, and you go in here and I believe you get a little pop-up screen first time you do it, but since I already was in there and actually added an activity, I didn't receive that pop-up screen. But you know, you have a lot of activity here, and you can also add your own activity. This is one of the strong suits of Garmin watch. That's pretty much covered. It covers pretty much any kind of activity you should be out doing. And I don't even know if you can notice it, but if you come from a Fenix 6 series, don't get those nice animations when you go back from the screen. You can see it almost rises up. That's kind of a nice little thing. And one thing I actually also noticed in my 945 LTE, I get a little bit of nicer animations, a little bit smoother. I kind of like that, going between widgets and yeah, not really that many drop frames. Let's try and get into a widget here. Yeah, get a little bit nicer animations. Almost like it's zooming in when you're actually pressing on a widget there. There's a little things, but it's actually quite nice in day-to-day usage. Makes the watch feel a little smoother and a little more modern. Let's get into the settings just quick here and have a closer look. We already had a look at the watch faces. Oh, touching the screen again. We already had a look at the watch faces, and the entire UI also has been updated a little bit. You can see much bigger text and icons there, so you can easily use it with your finger. Actually quite nice to scroll with your finger here. Not really sure I've missed it, but at times it can be a little awkward to actually, you know, have this on your wrist and having to squeeze the buttons to set it up. Just being able to tap the screen there is a quite nice little thing. So activities and app, notifications and alert, appearance, censorship, accessories, map, music, connectivity, audio prompt, user profile, and so on, navigation, power management, and then system. So pretty much the same system or menu structure as before. You can set the time, backlighting, touch. Let's just see what kind of touch we have here. Let's just touch on that. General use on, during activity off, during sleep on. I can also maybe disable that. I'll probably do that so I don't accidentally touch anything when I'm sleeping. And you can actually set it up specifically for when you're sleeping as well. Auto lock format, visual true up, definitely enable that if you have multiple Garmin watches. And I also always set it to 1 second or every second here in terms of its GPS recording. So it will just record every second, not smart, where it just try to record smartly based on your movement and map. and log HRV. I'm not going to do that. I'm not really using that feature. And USB mode, reset, software update, and about. So software version 6.16. I believe we're up in the 20 version on the Fenix 6 series. So 6 is pretty new firmware on this one here, but of course it will just get higher with time. This is a very new watch, so yeah, let's see how many bugs and stuff they will have to iron out. But anyways, this is just a part 1 of this video here. I want to do a more in-depth video where I test other things like weigh this watch here and see how low we can get the weight with other bands. I want to see how fast it will actually charge, because Garmin didn't mention anything about fast charging or anything like that. It's just a feature I kind of would like in the newer watch here. So I will try and test how many milliamps it's actually charging compared to my Tactics Delta and see if there's actually any improvements there. I want to kind of test the speed between my Tactics Delta, like the Fenix 6 generation, between this one here, just going through the menu system and also mapping, how fast can it actually rotate that map. So I'll do all that when I get home and be able to film in a more comfortable environment. And like I said, I do also have the Epics coming. I want to do a more in-depth video about that one as well in my more comfortable and usual environment. And also maybe compare it a little bit to this one here. But if there's anything you want to know, you want me to test, other than of course go out and run, because I have my injury right now, let me know and I can maybe look into that and include that in the part 2 of this video here. So just to sum it up, first impressions, quite good. Not really anything bad to say about the watch other than it is very expensive, and I feel like Garmin could have done a little more, like including LTE, for instance, in the top range of their watches. I'm not really sure why they haven't, but I'm sure they will come out with some newer models with LTE in the near future. And I'm not 100% actually there's enough upgrade to actually warrant the high cost that it will cost me to keep this if I had to sell my Tactics Delta. We'll do some more testing, of course, wear this watch every day and as my primary watch going into the foreseeable future. And I will do a part 2 where I get into more details, and of course do a lot of follow-up videos both on this and the Epics going forward. So there will be a lot of Garmin watch content coming in the near future here of 2022. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope to see you again in a future one. Until then, take care.